in this game, we have one deck of cards. I have it. So nobody else needs them. And you
But I have.
Yes, you can touch them if you want to. I won't stop you. Now there is something called the budget for this episode. And I have my budget. And I have my little chart here to keep track. So you know our budget is 19. You don't have to worry about that number. You do want to be concerned with something called the audience pool, but it is empty right now, so that is just too bad for you.
How do we fill it?
You fill it because we have conflicts. And the way that I, the producer, have cards in the conflicts, which makes it harder for you, is I spend budget. And whatever I spend goes into the audience pool. And so what you do is if you like what another player does, you can give them a point from the audience pool. It's called fan mail. And fan mail may be used as a bonus for later conflicts. And furthermore, just to complete the circle, half of the time, fan mail, once it's used, comes back to my budget. But only half the time. So my budget will go down for an episode. If the budget runs out, then that means the rest of the episode is pretty easy for you guys. So, okay, so now I am doing this. Oh, I need to be clear about just a few things. Let me have my list of supporting cast. I think that we have Mark's father, right?
That is correct. Should I give a name to him?
If you want to.
Henrik. We can take Henrik.
Mm-hmm. No problem. And then Helma, you have the engineer who likes talking with you, right? Is that correct? So
no name, female or male, doesn't matter to me.
Right, but why don't you help me a little bit for now and make up at least something?
Okay, make it a female.
Okay, so Sam, this is Sam's friend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the person that
kind of, or at least
right, or at the moment, sort of just a positive acquaintance.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
I'd say that.
Okay, so female, but we don't have a name yet. And then for Sandra, you had the fellow student, right? The student.
Yes.
Okay, so Nia's, I guess you would say a colleague.
Yes.
Fellow, from school, right?
Yes. Let's call him Keith.
Okay. And then Ola, your character has a friend as well, correct?
Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with a sister.
Ah, sister. Okay.
A promoted sister.
Right. I remember that. Right.
She's on the ship, but she's not on my level, so to say.
I totally get it. Yes.
Yeah. And I think her name is Mila.
Mila.
Yeah, with an M.
Uh-huh. And
Ron, I have a name for you, Kara.
Kava?
Kara with a C and an R.
Ah, yes. Got them. Okay, so and no other, and everybody else has, and you have 2 traits each, I think, correct, right? Just one connect. Just so happens that everybody has 2 traits and 1 connection. Okay. I'm thinking quickly. Usually for real episodes, I will have time to do some preparation and things, but it is appropriate for the pilot to just jump into situations and see what the characters are like. That's what it is for.
When you have a 1, does it mean that you will be seen, or
Yes, you will be seen, but I will. It's a very good question. I don't mind answering that right now. It's a good time. If it's a 1, you will play a minor role. You will have a small amount of influence on scenes.
Because I was thinking, like, if you have a 1, you do not be seen at all, but you will be seen in every episode, more or less.
Yeah, you will. Right, correct.
Yeah, just
The other, you will never sit. Your character will never sit out. Right, they will be collecting the actor will be collecting their paycheck for the episode.
nice.
But remember, for the pilot episode, everybody has a screen presence of 2. This is outside.
Which then means?
Well, a scene 2 means that your character has a role to play in the problems of the episode, but it is not, and we may get a look at your issue, but we are not going to, the producer, I am not going to put massive pressure on your issue and force you into, facing it.
Okay, thanks.
And also, if you want to seek to address your issue, save your most of your energy for the 3. Right. So, with this stated, I would like to take us to Moonville. Moonville is on Luna, the Earth's moon, of course, and it is a large industrial project, but it is also a colony. It requires so many workers that it was just more economic, literally, to invent the technology for a colony. And so people's families are there, and they have schools and things like that. It is heavily privatized. So you have different corporations in charge of different aspects of life. So you have a complicated and not very democratic committee that is in charge of everything. And the Moonville has been around long enough that there are parts of Moonville that probably are not under much rule of law. Now, of course, there is no dome over it. You have to, it's all inside or by vehicle. You have to wear a spacesuit to go out. So it's a very strange kind of community. Then some of the living areas, maybe there are larger structures. So who knows what kinds of fascinating social problems and situations have arisen in Moonville, but with a population of well over 20,000, it is definitely maybe more than that. It's definitely become almost a little, a whole society of its own. Now, one of the situations with Moonville is the immense facilities for the repair and the launch of the ships. This kind of ship that you work on never goes to Earth. It cannot land on Earth. And it can only gain the propulsion it needs to go to the asteroid belt or to Saturn. It can only gain it from the moon. So that's where the ship is now. This is as close as the ship has to a home. And so, however, as I say, everything is privatized, and so the ship has to have a contract with a particular a particular corporation in order to pay for being there, and it's very complicated. So, fortunately, none of that is your problem. So the situation for you is only that you are at Moonville. This will take a while for the ship to undergo its preparation for the next major circuit around the solar system. And that you are given a specific time to leave the ship. You are allowed to go off. There are facilities there. Remember, these big ships, and they arrive at Moonville all the time and stay all the time for a short period. And this is when a lot of people have for people like you, this is the only time you ever leave the ship. This is a career for you to live on this ship. So you are going to be this is like, a break. You get to go off and like deal with other humans and things like that. But it is not unconstructed. There are only areas that you are allowed to go to, and you are given a specific amount of money that you are allowed to use. And since this is very low tech, you might think that in the future that you will have barcodes and special things. No, bullshit. You do not. You have a very cheap. It's essentially a cheap hard drive, and there is a mechanism of a data transfer that you cannot control. You just put the hard drive into the slot, and then it takes away some of the record of the amounts there, and that's all it is. There's nothing else on this hard drive, just the record of that amount. So that's your money, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't fake it. You can't charge it. You can't fill it. You can't, and if you lose it, too bad. Someone else has it now. It's completely anonymous. It's just this cheap piece of plastic.
It's like a small wallet.
Exactly. Well, yeah.
With cash.
Exactly. Yeah. And so each of you is issued one of those, and you are given a probably, let's see, I'm kind of envisioning the ship. I mean, you don't have screens. Maybe you have the equivalent of small. I think I'm going to go really hardcore non-tech. The ship is not Etherneted for you. You don't have internet-based laptops and things. I think there must be some kind of entertainment network or some kind of commercial network that's accessible to you, but probably just through where you live, just in your room, and you just punch into the desk or something. But you can't. But it's not like you have access to a huge internet worth of information and elective entertainment or anything like that. So.
All right. So is that kind of an what do you call it? Something that is really scarce
in the whole society. Yeah. No, not particularly.
But in our community,
right.
Information basically is scarce.
Right. Well, you cannot go and look at all of the news agencies from all over the solar system, for example.
All right.
And so a chance to get some other information or to see what's going on from some other source. Obviously, some corporation has the license to provide you with the news that you get while you're on your ship. Right? Then also there's the reason I bring this up is that on that data screen on in your bedrooms or your apartments is all the information about this trip, about going to Moonville. Perhaps some of you have done this before. Perhaps for the younger characters, this is the first time since they first got on the ship that they have come to Moonville in this way. And so you have this basically a manual of what you are and are not allowed to do, where you can go, what you do to prove that you are, on the ship